My mother had a drinking problem. She divorced my father at an early age. He was abusive. And then at 13 years old, my mother dragged me into Chicago to live with her and my stepfather. I was taking college classes in high school, getting straight A's, but was still dabbling in drugs and drinking and then not having any structure at home to pull me back from that. Ran into an old friend of mine from high school who put a rock on a pipe and said, try this. And I was like, everything was better for a few minutes. And I was like, where can we get another one of these? Ended up just spiraling downwards to losing my children, losing my home, losing my job, losing myself. Ended up in the park under a pile of blankets. I lived in that park for about 8 years. I met a gentleman who was out on the street too. At one point, I lost him for about 2 weeks. I got a phone call and he said, I'm up in Minnesota and I'm in treatment. You can come with me if you want, but if you don't, that's up to you because I'm not coming back out on the street. The next day, I got on the Greyhound bus with him and threw my pipe away and never looked back. I've never touched it since. I had no place to go, didn't have a job, didn't have anything. At that point, I couldn't even conceive ceiling, wall, floors. I just wanted a door to close, just to be able to shut out and have my own time and my own space. I wouldn't have been able to continue my education. I wouldn't have been able to get a full-time job. I wouldn't have been able to have a place to reconnect with my family. None of those things without a place to live. I work with people that have been cast away by society. I want to use my story and my situations that I've been through to show people where I've been and that if I can do it, it's possible for you too.
When I became homeless on my own, I was 16. I had just gotten into an altercation with my mother's husband, and physical abuse is just not something that I personally will put up with. It wasn't physically or mentally a place where I could see myself for a foreseeable future, and so I decided to get help and change my situation. It was a little bit frightening because, I haven't fended for myself by myself before, and it was going to be a challenge it was. Being 16 and homeless, there's a lot that you can't do for yourself because of the law. I couldn't get an apartment at age 16. I couldn't really get a job at age 16 because a lot of people want you to be 18. You get tired of thinking about, oh, I'm homeless and what do I do now? When you're homeless, you're taking it a day at a time, because that's all you can take, because you don't know for a fact that you're going to be here the next day. All you can do is work hard and change your situation. You can't change other people's thinking. You can't change how other people see you. You can only change how you see yourself. I got referred to Archdale. I thought, this is a good opportunity and I'm going to seize the moment. It allows you to remove that housing barrier from my mind, and now I can focus on so much more. Now this is home. My motto is do what you need to do to get where you need to get. And the thing that I'm holding on to right now is me going to school, graduating, and being able to, get a better job, move out of Archdale, and become a productive member of society. Homelessness is not something you choose to do. It's something that ultimately you're dealt. And I think it's important to have a second chance, because we're in a world today that can afford to give second chances.
You got a whole building here of people that have come from different paths and different situations that have come to a point where, a lot of stuff is taken from them. In fact, everything's been taken from them. I met somebody in 1998. We were together for 16 years, off and on. The relationship was so toxic, it got worse and worse and worse. I felt desperate, hopeless, worthless. You feel like somebody dug a hole so deep that you can't get out of it. All I knew was that I couldn't stay in the situation that I was in. Something had to change. One day I went over to see my son because he was a car mechanic, and Sean said, well, we can move some of your stuff up in the loft, in his shop. I didn't realize at the time that it was going to be as bad as it was. It was extremely cold. There was no place to fix food. There was no windows at all, so it was like solitary confinement. I remember many times I'd just sit here and I'd just hold my head like this and I'd just say, oh, please, dear God, let this stop, let this stop. It's so difficult and so wearing on you physically and in every way that you really have to take life on a second-by-second basis. If I can make it another second, I'm okay. If I can make it another minute, I'm okay. You lose hope. And before I found the landing, I was at that point. The minute I drive over the crest on 41 and I see the valley and stuff like this, I say, God, I've come home. Wherever, love and security and those elements are involved, it's home. The love and the caring that's here. I've lived in a lot of apartments. I can't say I've ever experienced it other than here. I can't even describe the feeling of relief knowing that I have a second chance again, a chance to rebuild my life. I know how hard it is to go from nothing to come to this point. I look at it like I'm just starting. I'm just starting my life.